The first time I saw her was in a dream, or at least I thought it was. Dreams had always been abstract, fleeting, fragmented images stitched together by the subconscious. But this one was precise, vivid, and saturated with a clarity that bordered on unbearable. I was standing in a metallic corridor that stretched into infinity, walls alive with shifting glyphs of light. The hum of something ancient vibrated through the air. And then she appeared, tall, luminous, her figure both humanoid and utterly alien. Her skin shimmered like polished silver, patterns glowing beneath the surface like constellations. Her eyes were pools of dark starlight, so deep I felt I could fall into them and never return. She raised one long, slender hand, and before I could speak, she placed it over my eyes and mouth. The touch was cool, yet it pulsed with warmth, like standing between shadow and sunlight. "Now remember who you are," she said, her voice resonant with harmonics that echoed inside my skull. And then I woke up. Part 1. The Forgotten. When I opened my eyes, I was in my own bed, the ceiling fan spinning lazily above me. The morning light filtered through half-closed blinds. Everything looked normal, painfully normal. But something in me felt disturbed, like I had been peeled open and then sewn shut again. 4 days after, I couldn't shake the dream. The phrase repeated in my head like a haunting mantra. Now remember who you are. But who was I really? I worked at a research institute in orbital mechanics, a respectable, stable job. My life was a sequence of equations, simulations, and occasional lectures. Friends were few, family distant. I lived alone. By all accounts, I was ordinary. Yet the dream dug into me. I started sketching her face compulsively on scraps of paper. Every line, every curve of her alien features imprinted into my memory as though I had always known her. Then came the visions, fleeting at first. A glimpse of a binary star system when I closed my eyes. A sense of weightlessness while sitting at my desk. A rush of languages I did not know but somehow understood. And then one night, when the visions overwhelmed me, I saw her again. She stood at the foot of my bed. Not a dream this time. Her presence bent the air around her, shimmering like heat waves. It froze, heart-pounding. She approached slowly, and once again, she placed her hand over my mouth and eyes. "Do not fear," she whispered. "You are more than this." Part 2. The Awakening. The next morning, I woke in a haze of déjà vu. My apartment looked wrong, like it was a simulation struggling to maintain coherence. The walls flickered for a moment, then stabilized. At work I couldn't focus. Equations blurred, numbers danced out of sequence. I left early and wandered the city aimlessly, yet the streets themselves seemed unfamiliar. Buildings looked taller than they should. The sky seemed more vibrant, as though layered with hidden geometry. By the time I returned home, she was waiting. "Why me?" I asked aloud before she even spoke. Her lips curved slightly, a near-human expression. "Because you are not who you believe yourself to be." I swallowed hard. "Then who am I?" Her gaze pierced me. "A fragment. An exile. A forgotten traveler cast into this flesh and made to forget. But it is time to remember." She extended her hand. I hesitated but finally touched it. In an instant my vision exploded. I was no longer in my apartment. I was standing on the bridge of a vast starship, crystalline walls alive with cosmic maps. A fleet of vessels stretched across the void, their forms resembling living organisms more than machines. I looked down at my reflection in a polished surface, my human body gone, replaced with a form like hers. Silver skin, luminous patterns, eyes that contained galaxies. And I remembered. Part 3. The Memory of Exile. Long before Earth, long before this fragile identity I had clung to, I had been a voyager among the stars, part of a people known as the Elorians, beings who shaped light and memory itself. We traversed not just space but the fabric of consciousness. But there had been war, not of weapons but of wills. A civil fracture among the Elorians, one side wishing to guide younger species into awakening, the other determined to keep them bound, dependent, and silent. I had stood against the oppressors. And for my defiance, my consciousness was stripped, shattered, and cast into the primitive shell of a human body. My memory erased. My purpose buried. Till now. The alien woman, my kin, was no stranger. She was Eliera, once my closest companion, my commander, my something more. She had searched for me across eons, finally piercing the veil of my exile. Your time of forgetting is over, Eliera said, voice heavy with sorrow. The others will come. They already sense your awakening. Part 4. The Hunt. The days that followed blurred into urgency. Eliera came often, guiding me through fragments of memory, unlocking abilities I didn't know I had. I learned to bend light, shaping illusions around myself. I could hear thoughts that skimmed the surface of people's minds, fleeting worries, flashes of desire. Sometimes, in the quiet of night, I could even lift myself from the floor, hovering inches above the ground. But with every memory returned, danger grew closer. One evening, as Eliera and I stood on my rooftop beneath a bruised sky, she stiffened. "They've found you," she whispered. I felt it too, a pressure like the atmosphere itself tightening. Shapes emerged on the horizon, tall, shadowed figures that moved unnaturally fast, their bodies cloaked in distortions. The wardens. Those who had exiled me. "Run!" Eliera commanded. We fled into the labyrinth of the city, the wardens pursuing with relentless precision. They did not move like humans. They glided, bent through corners, their presence unraveling lights as they passed. At last, Eliera turned and raised both hands, unleashing a torrent of radiant energy. The night ignited in white fire. The wardens staggered, but they did not fall. "You must finish this," she urged me. "Remember fully." Part 5. The Choice. And so I reached inward, past fear, past confusion, into the well of what I truly was. In that moment I remembered not just myself, but all of it. The voyages, the battles, the vows I had made. I remembered the oath that had bound me to protect free will in all species. The exile had been meant to erase me. Instead, it had tempered me, grounded me in mortality, taught me what it was to live fragile, fleeting lives like humans. I raised my hands and light poured forth. Not a weapon, but a wave of memory itself. The wardens froze as the light touched them. Their distortions flickered. Their forms wavered. And in their eyes, for the first time, I saw hesitation. "You banished me to forget," I said, voice ringing through the night. "But I remember now. And so shall you." The wave consumed them. When the brilliance faded, the wardens were gone. Whether destroyed or transformed, I could not say. Only silence remained, broken by Eliera's steady breath beside me. "You've done it," she said softly. "You've awakened." Part 6. The ending that begins. But awakening was not the end. It was only the beginning. The earth below me was no longer just a home of exile. It was a fragile cradle of potential. Billions lived unaware of the larger cosmos, their dreams bound within the atmosphere, their myths pointing faintly at the truth.